What's up, guys? So I just got in the Retroid Pocket 5. I'm gonna unbox it, give you guys my first impressions, kind of give you guys a detailed overview because I have the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro and then the Retroid Pocket Mini here to kind of give you guys an idea of, hey, if I'm in the market right now to get my first, Retroid handheld, and I already have a Steam Deck, or this is just my first one I'm gonna get, which one should you get? What are the differences and all of that? So I'm gonna go over that in this video. But before we get started, please consider subscribing and liking this video. It really does help me continue making videos like this. And yeah, but let's go. All right, so let's go ahead and get this unboxed. So if you aren't familiar with Retroid's packaging, similar packaging from what I can tell from before with their Retro Pocket 4 Pro, and then the Mini is pretty much the same. I'll link down the reviews for both of these devices and under the like button there, so you guys can check that out if you guys want to. So yeah, this one says RP5, Retro Pocket 5. You see, I didn't open it yet, I just removed the sticker. On this side here, on the left side, you do get kind of, it tells, so you do see on the left side here, it tells you a little bit of warning information, and then which color did I get. So I have the black model. I'm really excited to check this bad boy out. Let's unbox this thing. So it has a magnetic flap here. Just opens up like so. You get your foam to protect the device from movement and whatnot. So here's the device itself in a wrapper. Get this off the side, show you guys what else it comes with. So it does have the user's manual. Get that out of the way. There's really not much going on here. So get that out of the way. There's not much going on here. Just shows you the device, some of the specs. It's an AMOLED 5.5 inch 1080p display. Has 8 gigs of RAM, so it's pretty good specs for what it is. And I did get it for the early bird price or pre-order price. I think it was like $190 or so, because I did get both the Mini and the 5 there. So yeah, your USB-C cable is branded with the Retroid's logo right there. You see it has the Retroid logo there, the USB-C side. It is a USB-A to USB-C. And yeah, so that's pretty much it, what you get with the device, right? The rest of it is just the foam in the box. So we're gonna just I'm gonna pack this back up real quick here. I have so many USB-C cables, I don't even need them, but it's nice to have extras. So we have the device itself. I'm gonna take this out. Wow. This thing is pretty big. Pretty long, actually. Give you guys a comparison to the previous model. So hopefully this will give you guys an idea if you're coming from a 4 or 4 Pro, or even a 3 for that matter. This is kind of what you can expect as far as sizing. Now you can check online and do the numbers and whatnot, but they're more or less about the same, right? The 5 is a little bit longer, right? You can tell, but height-wise, about the same. And well, one of the biggest differences in the back is, well, it has grips built in. You don't have to buy extra grips. It just comes with it, built in to the shape. Whereas the 4 Pro does not have at all. You have to buy it separately. And I do recommend it, if you do get one, a 4 Pro, that you get the grips as well. That's that. So we'll compare it to the Mini in just a second, but wanted to give you guys kind of a tour of the 5 Pro, or just the 5. In this case, there is no Pro. You see that the display is just blended in because of the black color that I chose here. And you have some plastic that's kind of accenting the glass panel here. So like the ABXY has this matte kind of circle in the background. You got your Hall effect joystick on your right side. Speaker right here, as well as that kind of the same matte plastic in the back. You also have, well, this is your back button. And then on the left hand side, home button, speaker. Going up, you have your joystick. Both these also have RGB, just like the Mini right there. And then your D-pad, pretty good. I love the D-pad on the Retroid devices. And then you have your start and select at the top. So pretty amazing. So I'm going to angle it real quick here so you guys can get a better view. All right, so to the top, you have your power button, your volume right there. Pretty easy, accessible to get there. Yeah, your triggers, R1, R2. Triggers feel really nice and tight. A lot better than the 4 Pros. These are really loose, comparatively speaking. Yeah, your vent in the back, ventilation here. I do find that it's weird that they have the vents just like on the same side essentially. And it's kind of just going in and out really quickly, which, it's fine. But I think in general, it would have been nice to have something like this one right here, where the Mini, the vents at the top really. But, I don't think it's going to make a huge deal for ventilation performance-wise. But we'll see. We'll test this out and get a better idea soon. So on the back, you have your grips. They have this nice texture. You see it's centered out like that. Retroid logo in the center there. You got your ventilation here. Your fan as well as here. So yeah, you can see it. Pretty nice, pretty easy, pretty simple. The texture, back's pretty good. Similar to the Mini. If you have one already, or if you watch my review, I'll link it down below again. Has this like kind of rough texture a little bit. So it's not completely smooth, which is really, really nice. So you don't have to get a case if you don't want to. You have your SD card slot, 3.5mm headphone jack, and then your USB-C. It is a display out as well. However, I don't really use display out a whole lot to, project whatever I'm playing onto, a screen or a TV. The reason why I buy these devices is so that these are mainly for handheld use, and that's it. So yeah, let's go ahead and turn this thing on. Let's see what else. All right, we'll be back. I'm gonna set this up. All right, so real quickly here, while I'm getting this thing set up, did want to show you guys Retroid Pocket's new launcher. This is their new launcher. So when you set up the device, you can actually choose between using just a standard Android launcher. If you have an Android phone, it's very similar in that aspect. However, you can also choose to use the Retroid Pocket launcher. So this is what it looks like by default when you set it up, just without anything in there, no SD cards, nothing like that. So no games at the moment. However, I imagine once you kind of have everything in there, everything's kind of just going to be like squares, a bunch of squares. Kind of like a, switch menu, I suppose. So you can go through, you can click through, do all this stuff, exit. You can exit. And so that exits the launcher itself. So you can launch it back up. You go to settings, So you can do, the settings are pretty minimal, but it's good enough. Everything's set up for you. It's a lot easier to kind of configure than using ESDE. But ESDE, you can get more out of it. So I don't know if there's actually also any kind of theme settings. Here you go, appearance, game list, platform, handheld. So it doesn't seem like you can change the color or anything. There's no theming going on. So, pretty basic, but it's a lot quicker to set up than setting up ESD, getting all the apps you need, all of that stuff, or even using a Linux-based OS to do the same thing. That's a lot easier than something like this. But basically, what I'm going to do is just transfer the Mini's SD card, which has all of my games, all of my apps, all that stuff. Going to just install it and then set it up on here. But in the meantime, I did want to give you guys kind of a comparison between really the two devices that you might be thinking of you're going to upgrade from. So you have the Retroid Pocket 5 and the 4 Pro side by side, about the same lengthwise, but the 5 is a little bit longer, right? But honestly, I think it's worth it given has better grips, all of that stuff. So it was really nice to have the screen 5.5 inch versus The 4 is 4.7. You can tell that it's quite a bit of difference, especially when you turn it on. You can see quite a bit of difference between the OLED display as well. Better colors, better contrast, all that stuff you expect from an OLED. It does turn off pretty quickly because it's default settings, but you can tell it's just way nicer looking. Bezel-less, but really they just cover the bezels with the glass panel here with the black. But yeah, again, buttons, triggers, about the same design, right? You can't really tell that's a huge difference there. But again, the tightness, the spring, way better on the 5. Just infinitely, I'd say like 2-3 times better if I had to quantify it somehow. And then in the back, so then in the back, again, the biggest things, well, the grips. And let me see how they feel. I haven't actually played around with this device yet, so feel pretty good. I would say that it's not like you're using a full-on console controller with it, but it's way better than using the 4 Pro. So off the bat, just that alone, I think it makes it worth the upgrade. If you're upgrading, if you're getting a new device, unless somehow the 4 Pro is like $50 more, but unless somehow the 4 Pro is like $50 less or something, you can get it for a steal, then I think the 4 Pro is worth it. But I think if you want an OLED display that can play pretty much everything under the sun, it's kind of like a PSP format. It has the grips built in. You don't have to buy anything extra versus something like the 4 Pro. I mean, pretty much has everything the 4 Pro has. Just everything's upgraded in this model. Display is upgraded. The shell's upgraded. Just everything is a little bit better in terms of production, right? The triggers are better. All that stuff. Now, for me, I never really thought it was a big deal to, have these loose triggers. But, comparing them together, it's like, man, I would definitely prefer this over, the 4 Pro's triggers. Now let's, real quick, just to add some spice there, you see the RGB do work. The 4 Pros don't have RGB if you really care about that stuff. I don't really care, so yeah. One thing though to note is the 4 Pro is a lot thinner just because it doesn't have the grips, and as well as I think it's just not as thick as the 5. You could tell it's a little bit thinner as well. Just even at its thinnest point, the 4 Pro is slightly thinner, not by much, but that's why I think it's worth it that they elongate it a little bit, give it a bigger screen, just make it a little bit bigger, still kind of pocketable sort of, but I think this is probably about the longest I would accept as a portable handheld, if you will. But the Mini, this is where it gets interesting, because the Mini, well, it's mini sized, quite in all aspects, but the D-pad, same size, joysticks, same size, buttons, same size. Now, the screen is obviously a little bit smaller, or quite a lot smaller, depending on who you ask. The Mini is 3.7 inches. It's an OLED display as well. It's 900p, I believe, versus the 1080 on the 5. Now, okay, you might be thinking, okay, well, how would you get both? Well, for me, I have different use cases. The Mini is great for if I just want to bring something really, really tiny, don't have to bag it, put it in a bag or anything like that. This is truly portable. The 5, not so much, I don't think, right? Just, I don't think this is really gonna fit in my pocket, even with shorts. It might fit, but I don't know about you guys, but I don't really want to get my device scratched, and I don't like using a screen protector, so, which is why, I don't know if I'd carry this in my pocket is what I'm trying to say. But the biggest thing with the Mini, well, it's smaller than my Pixel 9 here. Look at that. It dwarfs it, right? So you can't even see. But if I put the Mini over, you can still see the Pixel 9 XL. So that's just to give you guys an idea of a sizing. All right, so to give you guys an idea of sizing, so here's my iPhone 16 Pro. So you have a phone about 6.3 inches. This is kind of an idea of sizing, just to give you guys an idea of real world. If you don't have a handheld to compare with, that I didn't show you already. This kind of sizing of it versus an iPhone. Hopefully that's a good enough indicator for you guys. So here's the Retroid Pocket 5, right? Now, the reason why I said that the mini is really portable, look at it. Pretty much the same size, right? Obviously thicker, the mini's thicker, but lengthwise, right? When you put it in your pocket, this is really easy to pocket versus, you know, something like this, a little bit harder, especially when you have, you know, that much more length to go. The 4 Pro, you can kind of pocket it, right? It's not that much longer, but it's thin. So that kind of helps, right? But the triggers, you know, the bumps here, doesn't really, it makes it a little bit harder, but overall, I would say the mini, most pocketable, followed by the 4 Pro, and then followed by the 5. So, yeah. Now, performance, you guys might be wondering, this is the impressions video, so I'm not really going to go over that a whole lot, but it's the same chipset. It's an 865 Snapdragon, so same as the mini. If you watch the mini review, you'll know that the performance is pretty good. It can pretty much play everything, PS2, GameCube, all of that stuff, really no problems. There are some games that probably won't play just because it's on an Android ARM chip. If you're using x86 or something, you'll have a better time. But with these kind of devices these days, with the performance and the battery requirements, they're not going to go away from ARM at this point. So all that's to say is that it can play pretty much everything. It can play even Switch games. It can play even Switch games. So it can play even Switch games. And that's amazing. The fact that you can play a Switch game at this size, it's crazy. So, you know, I think this is an amazing buy, even with me not even reviewing it fully yet. But I am going to put it through paces just to make sure there's no weird stuff going on in any of that. So if you guys want to make sure you guys see that review, make sure you guys are subbed, like this video. So I wanted to point out just a couple differences between the mini and the 5. You'll see that the buttons are a little bit different. Hopefully, I'm going to try to see if I can give you guys an idea there. So you can see, here's the mini. The buttons are a little bit flatter than the 5s. They're a little bit flatter. The 5 has more of a curve towards the end of the button, the edges, but both of these are really just memory based anyway, so pretty similar in that aspect. When I press on it just now, I can feel it's about the same feeling. One thing I did notice is a little bit different is that the mini's D-pad is a little bit of a different shape than the 5. When I mean shape, I mean in particular the embossed symbols for the left, right, up, down. You see that the 5 is a little bit different. Not a huge deal. Just wanted to point that out. Speakers, you can see that the speaker is actually bigger on the mini. It just has more space to deal with just because the display. So I'm not sure how sound is going to be. That's one thing I'll have to test and let you guys know. Now whether this, you know, bigger size of the speaker makes a big difference or not, we'll find out. One other thing is, well, the triggers and the bumpers on the mini don't have any texture versus the 5 do. So they probably couldn't find the same sized triggers and bumpers to have the texture here versus like the mini, right? It doesn't have anything at all, which to be honest, doesn't matter to me in that aspect. It's nice to have, but when you're dealing with a device this size, it doesn't really matter a whole lot versus the 4 Pro, right? Same size, they were able to probably find something similar. So, you know, I would say that the textures on these, yeah, they're there, but they're not like the greatest texture, I would say. In general, like you could feel that they're there, but it's pretty light to the touch, if that makes sense. It's not like super smooth like this, where if I would rate this, it'd be like a 5, right, out of 10. This would probably be like a 7. So that's how I would see it there. All right, so on the back, you guys might be wondering, okay, so how are the grips? So after using the Mini for a while, and I said in my review, the grips are really nice on the Mini. They're quite, you see the resivity there. It's pretty low here and then high up here. Similarly with the 5, you can see that the similar shape, but because it's a larger device, I'm not sure if this is going to really be as good. We'll find out. Just my initial impressions of it wasn't as high as the Minis, but I'm also standing trying to film this video, so you know, a little bit different. I haven't had actual time to use it, but I'll get back to you guys and report back. But I do like that it has some texture here to kind of give you guys some grip when you're using it. But notice that the side doesn't have any grip at all, so it kind of just stops at the edge here. So you won't be able to fully get a grip here. So, you know, that's not a huge deal, but as long as it's on the back, that's really the main point and where it needs to be. The side, not a huge deal if it doesn't have it. So yeah, what do you guys think of the Retroid Pocket 5? Do you guys think it's worth it? Let me know down in the comments what do you guys think. Anything you want me to test, all that stuff, questions, comments, let me know down in the comments below. And with that, I will see you guys later.